All right, welcome to the third episode of Stop the Movie. I Want to Get Out. And this is a podcast about some of the worst movies ever made and our sick fascination with them. This is our first movie with M. Night Shyamalan. I don't think this is going to be his last appearance on this podcast.
I certainly hope not.
Tonight's movie is Lady in the Water. I'm Alex Dunbar. We host him here with Jack Estabrook, Cody Wolf, Andy Wolf. Brian Mueller's on assignment this week. This is a frustrating... Cody, let's just start off. Cody, can you give us a synopsis of Lady in the Water?
Yes, and this comes from the back of the DVD case, because we couldn't come up with one ourselves.
Yeah.
A story M. Night Shyamalan told his children is a springboard for this spellbinding plunge into the supernatural. Paul Giamatti plays an apartment manager who finds an otherworld water nymph named Story, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, in the pool, then sets out to help her return to her home.
It's a plunge, all right.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie and you're confused hearing that, you are not alone. I have seen it twice, and I am still as equally confused by the synopsis of this movie. I saw it,
and I said, the first time I watched it, I said, I will never, ever, ever watch this movie again. Ever. And I had to.
And here we are, yeah.
I'm not too pleased I had to, but I had to.
I only watched it once, but I paused it several times just to catch up in my brain. Okay, so this character is doing this, and this is who this person is, and...
Right, they throw so many names at you, and...
Well, let's talk about this. Andy and I had seen it before. Cody, had you seen the movie before?
No, this is the first time I'd seen it.
First time? Jack,
also, my first time.
Okay, their first time.
Lady in the Water version.
It was something I like a few of Shyamalan's movie, and I was like, I'm never going to see Lady in the Water, though, because I quit after The Village, so...
This is, this movie is...
I want to punch somebody right now.
I'm so angry. Like, I'm really
somebody.
angry talking about I couldn't even give a synopsis. Like, I don't... We try not to swear. For reasons we try not to swear on the show, I don't know if I could have given a synopsis without swearing. I really don't know that I could have. So we're gonna try and take you through this movie. We're going to do the best we can. A movie that I don't think any of the four of us understand, so we'll take you through the plot the best we can here. Movie opens with some incredibly heavy-handed narration.
It basically feeds you the story in like 5 seconds, and you're like, wait, what?
I wish it was 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's a little longer than 5 seconds.
That there are women who live in the water who are trying to help men who live on the land, and over time, due to the greed of man, they get separated, and men are evil.
And there's this giant eagle of some sort that ferries people back and forth between these two universes.
Yeah, eagles carry these water people to men. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense. Whatever. And then, it doesn't make any sense. And we're going to say that a lot. Nothing makes any sense.
Which I think
nothing in the movie makes sense.
We discussed it. I think that was an add-on.
Apparently, from the behind the scenes, that was added on to help
nobody
clarify
understood
the movie.
this movie at all.
And it's a total failure. I think it makes things worse.
That was put on to make it less confusing.
Yes.
It makes things worse.
Because you expect that to be, a truncated version of the story you're about to see. Like what you'd sometimes get. Like once upon a time, there was a magical princess and she met a handsome prince who saved her from a dragon. Now, this is their story. And then it gets into the meat and potatoes of said story. Right. But no, you really don't get this story. And so maybe the last 5 minutes you're like, I kind of get it.
Yeah, and it's illustrated with like stick figures. Basically, all we know is people in the water good, man bad.
I'm trying to figure out.
Men are bad, yeah. And then these warg things. What are these, like Tolkien? Like these wolves made out of grass.
Scrunts or scrugs or whatever.
Scrunts.
Yeah. And there's bad scrunts.
Yeah.
Rogue one.
They look like a wolf trying to kill the lady in the water.
I'm trying to figure out the blue world, though, because this is where the water nymphs come from, is the blue world. And I don't know if that's like another fantasy world, or is that the ocean?
Does that just mean the ocean?
I thought it was the ocean, yeah.
Because she won't talk about it. But
see, now here's what I was thinking earlier, is I thought, obviously we'll get into this, but I was thinking that maybe she was actually from the pool. Like maybe she was a being made of water, and then the water came to life. I was actually expecting some kind of cheesy ecological save the planet message here, and that maybe she was a being of the water.
It was
like
just
made of
the
water.
story was just that man is bad and film critics are bad.
Yeah. Well, all right, we'll start. Anyway,
So we're bad
That's it.
people.
the movie begins. Paul Giamatti
We're
is
treated to a hilarious scene in the beginning.
a bizarre scene of Paul Giamatti killing a bug.
Yes, and how big is this bug? Really, he's like,
I mean, he's
I
got-
got it, and he like bangs the wall like 13 times trying to kill this
Stops,
bug.
breathes.
On the screen,
It's
keeps
comically
killing
large.
it. It's like Night of the Living Dead trying to it's like that scene in Night of the Living Dead where the hands are reaching through and he keeps cutting the fingers, and he's just standing there like, oh my god, they're not moving even though I'm cutting their fingers.
It's like something of The Walking Dead. You'd think he's killing a zombie with a plunger.
Yeah.
It's
And this is all done I guess, for comedy, right?
I'm
off the
sure,
top.
but
I guess
why?
Well,
There was
it's definitely
no
like after
comedy.
this heavy-handed, opening, the men are greedy, and then he's like killing this bug with a broom, and the family's screaming in the background.
And there is no comedy in it. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I mean, even the
None of it.
first time I watched this and I wanted to I didn't laugh at all. I mean, at that point, I was like, what? It was just so just blunt and poorly
There
done.
was one thing that I laughed at, but there was no way that. How can I really explain this? There's something in the movie that is unforgivable and he should not have done, which I'm sure was done for comic relief, but it was just unforgivable.
I'm wondering the same thing I'm thinking of.
Shall I just say it right now?
Well, we're probably going to
Yeah,
get
let's
to
get
it,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Are we
I know
going to
what
get
you're
to
saying.
all right, we'll
I
get
don't know
to
if
it.
he's
It
done
doesn't
the
take
same
very
good-
long.
in
We'll
good
be
time.
on it.
We're going to try and go in order, and again, this movie makes no sense.
Okay.
We then get introduced in an incredibly clumsy and forced way
All the people in the apartment
to
complex.
all the people who live in the apartment complex, who are all ridiculously one-dimensional characters. I mean, you can describe every person who lives in this apartment complex
In a sentence.
And
in a
just a
sentence,
blurb.
and that's all you know about them. You know, oh, she's a cat lady. Yeah.
Man's got a big arm.
Here's the old Asian lady who never learned English, and her daughter
the
is
stereotype.
the stereotypical Asian lady who's like, oh, why you not be high? You know, it's like that's horrible, racist.
Yeah, a grouchy film critic who
guy-
moved in.
A guy who never leaves the bathroom.
A guy never. A guy who.
The guy who only works out half of his.
And that was
half
the
of
guy I
his
was
body.
talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Why is there this guy who's skinny on the left and muscular on the right?
Well,
This is where the movie starts to go off the rails. As you meet Freddie Rodriguez's
3 minutes into
character.
it.
Yeah, 3 minutes in.
who
he
obviously
only,
I think they wanted John Leguizamo play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was-
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
very John
that was a John
Leguizamo.
Leguizamo part. Yeah, that
And
does
he-
make sense.
He's sitting in the stairwell lifting a huge dumbbell only on the right side of his body.
Pumping iron.
And so he's got a huge Schwarzenegger bicep on one side and a regular arm on the other side. And he explains it's
some
experiment.
experiment.
It's so
Is that even medically possible?
And
I
right
don't
there,
even know.
you should know if you're 3 minutes in this movie, you should know right there if you got a character like this in your movie, this is gonna be stupid.
But that was
Yeah.
what I was saying
Yeah.
earlier. This is what I wanted to talk about because that character it was funny, but it wasn't. It was this is supposed to be a serious drama with the little sprinkles of comic relief as any serious drama would have.
Right.
But that was so blatantly stupid.
Right.
That was the level of those scary movie or disaster movie or
And-
not another teen
Yeah.
movie. It's that type of ridiculous, unbelievable humor.
And all this guy's talk about one dimensional. All his lines are right there in the stairwell, and we're done.
That's it. That's
And
it.
it's
He-
stu- and
No
he
more
never-
lines.
He never speaks again
That's
in
it.
the movie. He's introduced. He's in a lot of other scenes.
You see him in the back.
but he
he's
never
like,
speaks. That's how
Yeah.
one-dimensional he is. Oh, the guy who works out one side of his body. That's it.
And his lines,
Right.
what little dialogue he has, are stuff like, "Yeah, gotta get the protein. Gotta do 100 lifts on this side." It's even stereotypical things that one might think an exercise a guy who's a workout-aholic would say.
Can you imagine Freddie Rodriguez coming in to read for this role? I mean, what kind of ridiculousness was that?
Your left arm's gonna be bigger than your right arm. I'll do it.
Yeah, your left arm's bigger than you spend the whole
Great
movie
part.
working out
Great
one side of your
part.
body, and you only have dialogue in the first 3 minutes. Ridiculous. I can't. Anyway, okay, so it's full of weird tenants, and they sort of set up this idea. Very clumsily that somebody's been going in the complex's pool at night.
right.
Yeah, there's that horrible scene with the
pool guy.
A pool guy
Who's he's like, are you having parties in
Right.
here at night?
He's a pool guy. He's all accusatory towards Paul
So
Giamatti.
he's Paul Giamatti.
What's this slimy stuff? And it's
Yeah, Paul Giamatti.
whoa,
Like,
We've
hey,
been swimming in the
whoa.
pool.
we'll swim in the pool and we want
Right.
to.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we're not allowed to swim in the
It's like-
pool. It's
Sorry. Yeah. And this pool, I mean, I guess it was larger at the end of the movie, but when I first saw this pool, it looked like it was about 5 feet wide by maybe, 10 feet?
It looked like a hot tub.
Yeah, it looked like a hot tub.
Yes.
It was like, what kind of community pool in a massive apartment complex? There's at least 50 to 100 units in this apartment building.
Yeah.
And there is this tiny, tiny pool that's probably about the size of a hot tub. At least it looks at. I think at the end of the movie there's like a wide shot where it looks bigger, but he should have established early on the size of this pool because the way it's shot and the tight shots of everything in it and the shape of it, it just looks too small.
Way too small. So that night, Paul Giamatti hears something splashing around in the pool, and in a very clumsily edited sequence. I'm still not exactly sure what happened. Paul Giamatti goes out. He sees that there's someone splashing around in the pool. He starts yelling at them. It's implied that Paul Giamatti falls in the pool.
He gets in the pool. Like, he hears it because she comes out of the pool and grabs
a necklace,
chair.
right.
So
Okay.
he's like, oh, come out of there. I can wait till you come up because he thinks like she's hiding in the water. And then he just like starts walking in the water.
He's worried because he hasn't come up yet, so he thinks somebody's drowning.
He thinks
he
she's
gets
drowning,
in quick, like swims around for like 10 seconds, then gets out and starts walking around the pool, and then just like slips,
falls.
Oh, he falls? Okay.
He
That's
trips
right.
and falls,
That's right,
hits
he
his
did.
head,
Yes.
and then rolls into
and
the
then
pool.
kind of rolls over.
This is
Now,
so poorly.
it is
The way
ridiculous.
that they just described it makes this is so poorly edited.
So get
I
this.
did not understand.
So get this. He wakes up in his bed. He has a separate house. Like he's living in like a little pool house. He's the maintenance man. The Paul Giamatti's character's name is Cleveland. He lives in this little pool house.
Yeah.
So Cleveland wakes up in his bed. And there is a naked Bryce Dallas Howard sitting on his couch. He's given her his shirt. Somehow she's wearing one of his shirts. And that's the only clothing he gave her. This half-wet, white, unbuttoned shirt. Like a 13-year-old's
It
fantasy.
was really creepy there too.
It is kind of a creepy
at one
scene
point,
because he wakes up and
at one
basically
point
they
he
have a
goes,
conversation.
at one point he goes, "Oh, you're just a kid," and like the next shot is him like cuddling her.
right.
Yes,
Cuddled up
because
together,
what happens
like-
is they have a little conversation,
He's got
which is basically
his hand
not
on her leg, and I'm like,
basically
wow.
it's not. Are you okay? Or thank you for saving my life. It's who are you?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
At this
What's
point,
your
at
name?
this
My
point,
name
too,
is Story. Oh,
I think he slipped her a roofie too.
and then he
right?
says, "Well, he says I can't have you stay here because I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy." Then there's the scene where he says like what Cody says, "You're so young." Now he's cuddling with her on the couch. No, she says, "I'm afraid," and he says, "You don't have to be afraid." He walks over to the couch, sits down. They snuggle.
Well, he does. No, he does say though,
Right?
"You're just a kid."
Yeah, he does.
And then the next shot is her sleeping on him.
Very
It's-
pedophile.
Yeah,
It's
now,
incredibly-
wait.
yeah.
Now it's still the middle of the night. He's found this mysterious girl. He's draped her in a shirt. They've vaguely introduced each other. He's now cuddling with this strange girl on the couch, and then he says, "You know you can't stay here. I'm going to take you out and sit you down by the poolside." What? You're not going to take her to a hospital? She could have been raped. She almost drowned. You never met this girl. You could call a cop.
Well-
Maybe she escaped from a loony bin. You don't know. No, I'm sorry. You can't stay here. You know what? You were in the pool earlier, so I think you'll be fine just sitting outside in a pool chair. I'll make you a cup of
Well,
coffee.
at this point too, the first sort of weird supernatural thing happens to him where he, throughout the beginning of the movie, he has this stutter, which is like the lamest stutter I've ever heard in a movie.
Yeah.
It's like he only stutters like when it's convenient to.
It's the plot line.
To like,
yeah.
oh look, I have a stutter.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden he's talking to Story and he's like, I'm not stuttering. Why am I not stuttering?
That's right.
And then he just
Yeah.
forgets about it.
But then he stutters on and off.
But
If you
it's-
totally
when
lose
he's-
that.
when
There's
Basically-
no consistency.
Right.
I
no
think
consistency
I
to it,
think
right.
what was trying to be.
He only loses it when he's around her. That's the idea.
I think that's
Yeah,
why
but
they're.
I didn't.
Okay.
He brought it up, and then it was. Then you totally forgot.
No, it
about
happens later on though.
Yeah,
when
but
they're in the
well,
bathroom.
I didn't even.
Well, because the
notice that.
stutter,
You don't notice it anymore.
Because the stutter wasn't that bad. It was at the end of sentences he'd like stutter over one word. It wasn't like a Billy Bibbit stutter or
Yeah.
it was just like a once in a while thing. Just like, oh, you remember this guy kind of stutters. Remember that,
Right.
Well, then we should say too. At this point in the movie, this is where the train hasn't gone completely off the rails, but it's headed there because they start to introduce the concept of all these crazy rules. It turns out Bryce Dallas Howard is something called a narf.
Now he finds this out for some strange reason that I don't remember. Maybe you guys do. But she says she needs to find a writer, so he obsessively goes around the apartment looking for a writer, asking people what they're writing. Now, in the process of doing this, he meets this cute Asian co-ed who is living with her, horribly, stereotypically racist, doesn't speak English, Asian, loud, screaming things down the hallway, mother. and somehow he discovers that she knows the story of the nymphs.
He randomly asks her for
asks
some
her
reason.
about- like, he
do you know what a
thinks
narf
that-
is?
Yeah, do you know what a narf is? And she says, yeah, I know what narf is. Narf is this creature. And I'm like, what? How did he know to ask her? Now for a goodly portion of the movie, whenever he's confused about something, story tells him, he runs to the Asian girl, who then runs to her mother. Then he translates this bizarre story, and he begins to learn about the story of the narf. Not from story, but from a random stranger.
And this is supposed to be entertaining, but it's infuriating because this goes on all movie.
Yeah.
Like, they never just... I mean, at no point, constantly these rules and, like... it basically, to make a long story short, they're trying to get the narf, Bryce Dallas Howard, back to the blue world.
After
she meets the writer. First she has to meet the
She has to
writer.
meet a writer. She's going to get traveled by an eagle. And then they just start piling all these rules and circumstances on it, which by the end of this thing, if you want some comedy, if you haven't seen this movie, go to the Wikipedia page for Lady in the Water. It is ridiculous, the synopsis they give, and yet it is an accurate description of all of the ridiculous circumstances and rules this movie just keeps piling on top
Can we
of
talk
this.
about the writer?
The thing
Can we get
is
into this?
too, is that with M. Night Shyamalan, I've always said he loves to spoon feed you.
Yes,
this
he does.
this one, he's got a freaking shovel in his hand and he's freaking ramming it right down your
they
throat
are-
because this, like, holy Jesus,
Well,
force feeding you.
He's bashing it over your skull.
I mean, oh my god!
They're constantly. There are endless scenes in this movie where the college girl has to interpret the story from her mom and just piles more rules
Right.
on top of this, and it goes on
And they're bizarre
forever.
rules.
And they're
She's
bizarre.
she's a narf from the blue world. She can't return to the water because there are these creatures called scrumps who are like these wolves made out of dirt and grass, and they will kill her if she
But-
tries.
no,
Because
but
there are
the
several
thing
points
is,
in the movie where
they-
he sets her on her own, and then she comes back with cuts all over her leg. She's being attacked. So the only way she can get back is if she has the help of various unnamed archetypal people, like the guild and
Well,
the healer.
But the whole not you see it's still confusing because the scrunts weren't there to. This was a rogue scrunt.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
So they're really to
hold on,
protect
hold on. Let's-
her.
Yeah, we're getting way ahead of
But I
ourselves.
guess when a
Hold
rogue,
on,
but
hold
wait,
on.
when a
And
rogue
we haven't,
one
and we haven't
comes-
even got,
hold on, wait,
and
because
we haven't
we're
even
getting-
gotten to the monkeys
then you
yet.
need all the other people.
Wait, because we're getting way ahead. Hold on a second here. Hold on.
No,
we're
bro.
getting way ahead.
You
Because
have to get ahead because it's so freaking confusing.
what is? But what basically comes out in endless scenes with the girl and her elderly Asian mother is that, and this takes forever, is that to get the narf back to the blue world, she needs to meet this writer, connect with him, then a series of characters, a healer, a visionary, a protector, all of these different roles have to be filled to protect her, a guardian, to protect her from this wolf-like thing that is
But-
trying to kill her.
But that's what I was saying though.
Why don't they just shoot it?
They didn't need all these characters until a rogue scrunt, whatever. Because they, the
That's
scrunts
it.
were there
It's
to
what?
protect her.
The scrunt is supposed to
But
protect
this was
her.
a rogue one,
it's a
so
rogue
then
one.
now it's a rogue one. I guess they need all the guild.
Because she's a special nymph, I
it's
guess.
almost like, who cares?
Right.
I didn't get any of that.
It's basically like there's a wolf trying to kill her.
Right.
I mean,
She's a madam
I
nymph,
guess,
I think
yeah.
is what they were calling
that's
her.
basically, it's a wolf trying to kill her. I mean, and you're like, okay, whatever.
Because of course that's a stereotypical storybook villain, a wolf.
Yeah, it's just a wolf trying to kill her. And,
Which I take great offense
they,
to, by the
they
way.
explain, way too much time is spent trying to explain all of, like, what is going on. It's like, you know what, there's a wolf trying to kill her.
You talk
Okay.
about them releasing the story. The grandmother, for some reason, would not release the whole story. She had like bits and pieces because she didn't trust.
She's pissed off to tell a bedtime story to a complete stranger.
Right. I don't trust Paul Giamatti.
So he had to pretend to be innocent. That's it.
No. Don't even get.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
That's
we're getting there.
the
Okay.
dumbest thing I've ever seen in
Okay.
a movie right there.
Well, so then in a ridiculous sequence, Paul Giamatti goes around the entire apartment
Oh,
complex
God.
because he knows he has to find a writer.
I guess
So-
apparently everybody in the apartment complex writes because everybody was.
Sure, I write. Sure, I'm a writer. Sure, I'm a writer. But then, of
everybody's-
course, who does he meet? Who's actually a writer? Who does he meet? Come on, everybody. M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan. Now, for a lot of people say M. Night Shyamalan is a big ego. I don't know. I don't think that's true.
No.
I mean, it seems totally natural for M. Night Shyamalan to cast himself in the part of a writer whose words are so visionary
So
that
they
would
change
change
the
the
world.
world. Wow.
And a magical creature from the blue world has to acknowledge this.
But his ego is big because he actually says the line in the movie, "I don't think I'm anything special." So you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
Right, so
yeah.
he
doesn't have it.
He
Yeah.
keeps it down here. He's
Yeah,
down
yeah,
here.
that humility. You got to feign that humility there to make yourself seem a little bit less pretentious.
I'm sure he cast a lot of people for that. I'm sure he looked at hundreds of actors for that part.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
decided-
he was looking in a mirror.
And
He tried on different shirts and looked in the mirror and tried different ways of reading the lines.
M. Night Shyamalan is terrible in this too. I mean, he wrote the part. It's a terrible part. He's terrible in it.
How many directors write parts for themselves?
I don't-
Apart from
I mean,
like a walk-on role or a
he
waiter in
really-
a coffee
Well,
shop.
and the sad thing is, like we discussed before, of all the characters, there's only two would have more than one dimension: Paul Giamatti and
his
M. Night.
sister. Yeah, the only character
well,
I will say is the only character in this movie that I connected with on any level.
Yeah, that's right.
Is the girl who plays M. Night Shyamalan's sister,
yeah.
who actually
She had some
sort
really
of
bad
comes out-
lines.
Well, it's
But
a
yeah,
terribly written part,
yeah,
but at least
but-
in her performance, I felt like I was an actual human
Right,
being,
right,
not
right.
a cardboard cutout, which is like what every other character is. Even Paul Giamatti, to a degree, is a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
So anyway, more stuff starts coming out. Now it starts coming out that Bryce Dallas Howard's character has some kind of psychic ability, like this sort of.
Well, the nerfs can see the future. They say that in the
Okay.
beginning, weird narration thing.
So
She starts telling.
She basically,
Shyamalan his
basically
future.
at this point, for you people who are getting confused out of your skulls, as we are, basically what I think is going on is that Bryce Dallas Howard is a water nymph who was dropped off in the pool because she needed to meet the M. Night Shyamalan character to tell him that his political commentary book called The Cookbook will be so important that it will change the world, and a young boy will grow up to become the best president of the United States ever because he reads this book.
Yes.
But that's not actually what. She doesn't have to tell him that at all. She ends up telling him later on after she's already failed to go back to the blue world.
Yes.
Apparently, all she had to do was meet him.
Just meet him and,
And then-
inspire him. Or
Meet him
something.
and inspire him. Yep,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
it. And then Paul
Just by
Giamatti
looking
kind
at
of
him.
Paul Giamatti becomes like he becomes like a monkey in the wrench, as it were, where he kind of meets her, interrupts her, and he's kind of now has he like upset the balance? He's got to try to make it right to make her meet the writer. So he does.
Oh my
but then that
God.
meeting, as Cody just said, is insignificant, really,
Right.
because he meets him, she meets him, and then that's it. He's just like, whoa, there's a half-naked redhead in here. Oh, I feel that. And Paul Giamatti's like, yeah, do you feel it? He's like, yeah, I do. And she's like, you're going to be a great writer someday. And that's it. There's no more
She doesn't even
importance.
say that.
She didn't
But
say
no.
that.
But
they just look at each other.
In essence, that's what happens, though. That's not word for word. But that's in
She
essence
just,
what goes
right,
on.
she just
really.
looks at him, and M. Night with his acting ability, with his face, just you can feel like he knows.
Inspiration.
Yes, he just
He was
looks at her and
awakened.
kind of like, oh.
So
So he
he and his sister
Facial
somehow
expression.
buy into this crazy idea, like this is the most normal thing in the world.
Right.
That this
Well,
weird
but
girl
I can buy into that because
What?
if he did, well, I mean, if M. Night did have, if his character did have this moment with her and kind of like feel something, he could be like,
Well, she's
well,
supposed to
I
be
can-
magical. They just didn't
Yeah,
explain
you
it.
have, you have way more
But
patience.
I
than
could
me.
let that one
But
go. That one I can let
He
go.
shows up at their apartment with this girl after she was attacked by this
Right,
skunk.
right.
She's
Yes.
bloody. She's half naked.
Scratched
And
up.
he just brings her to their apartment and drops her on their bed.
And they don't think that he did it.
Yeah, they're not like,
yeah.
oh,
She
he
could
raped
stay
this
here.
girl.
Yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah, everyone. Here's the thing. This is one of the things in the movie. Everyone in the apartment complex is buying into all of this. Like this is the most normal thing in the world.
Right.
It is insanity. Oh, everyone's
and
just like, yeah,
can
I'm
we-
totally,
can we get-
I'm totally on board with
he
this.
tried to cover the bases with that, but it doesn't work, which we'll get to later. But he tried to cover the bases with that by saying that all these characters that will help her will be drawn to the writer. They won't know it, but they'll be drawn to the writer,
Yes.
the guild, the healer, the whatever.
Protector, the guardian, or whatever.
They'll all be so you could well he tried to, but
The scribe
we
was
find
one
out
called the
later
scribe.
that
Yeah.
the ones he thought were the right people weren't. So why did these people buy into it?
Why did anybody buy? This is such.
If somebody walked up to me
so
and said, "We have a
lazy.
magical creature sitting in this guy's apartment. This guy's the destined writer, and you're the destined scribe who has to tell the story," I'd just slam the door in their face.
Yeah, yeah. Why? I mean, another one of the stereotype or like one-dimensional characters is there's a bunch of stoners who
Yeah,
are in another apartment. I mean, There. Oh, anyway. Oh my God, this movie's so.
Well, I mean, where
boring.
are
And
we
of course,
now? I don't know where we are right now.
another little
We are all
racist
over
bit.
the
There's
place.
another little racist bit. There's an overcrowded apartment of Latino girls who are all
yeah.
like cousins, and they're all like living together in one little apartment.
Is it just me? Does this movie have like an uncomfortable, like racist element to it? I mean, it really.
The Asian woman, the
I
Latinas.
mean, it was really uncomfortable. Anyway, but this is my note that I'm at this point. I have a note here that says I am bored to death.
Well, I was gonna say
this movie is so.
if I
boring.
could do like a word review, I would probably call it cardboard.
Yeah.
right. Well, I was gonna say at the end, I was gonna say to everybody, at what point did you check out? Because I know there's a part where I was kind of like, I'm done.
We're coming on.
Well, I paused it. That's how I got through. Is I actually paused it.
I know the,
and
yeah,
now
I know
catch
the,
up
the
on my
exact
little
moment
notes.
I was finally like. I mean, up
I think
until
we're coming up on the well.
Well, I think we all do have
Well,
that moment.
my-
Do you want to wait till the end?
Let's wait
and
till
we'll
the
go
end.
around
Yeah,
the
yeah,
table
yeah,
as to
right.
when that
So
So
moment
we're
was.
gonna move it forward. Anyway, they think they sent her back to the blue world.
Successfully, yeah.
It doesn't work.
Oh, wait, you talking about?
No,
the
not what you're thinking. No, when
party
she
and all that?
meets the writer. No, not the party.
Oh,
They
right,
try like
right,
three
right.
times. Like
Yeah,
that
they-
keeps failing.
They keep
She
failing.
meets the
this-
writer, and she goes outside. He can't watch her.
Yeah,
because
he
it's against
can't
the rules.
Which is ridiculous. You can't watch an eagle.
It's
pick
against
her
the
up.
rules, right?
Well, but it's not against the rules.
Right,
At
'cause
the
he does
end
it
of
at
the,
the end of the
oh
movie.
my
He
God.
does it at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Ah, I want to break this movie.
Told you want to punch something, don't you?
Yeah.
You're violating your own canon.
Yeah, nothing makes sense. There's no.
If
Oh.
the director's violating his own rules, then what was the point of the rules in the first place?
Anyway, so he thinks they send her back. No, she gets attacked by the wolf.
She comes back.
She comes
He's freaking
back.
out. He's trying to protect her. Then the wolf chases them through the apartment complex. Now he's screwed. He's got it. He screwed something up. I don't understand Cleveland's thinking. We found the writer.
Yeah,
we
but-
sent her back to the water. She gets attacked. How are we going to do this? So he goes back to the Asian girl.
Which,
Wait, but wasn't there this part where the wolf was after him?
Yeah.
yeah.
Paul
And
Giamatti.
he think,
No,
'cause-
no, it's later.
No,
That's
this
later.
happens- no, this
That's
happens-
later.
Oh.
That's later. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
it's because I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they go back to the Asian woman again. Another scene where we're getting this translation from the Asian woman via her daughter. Oh, okay. Here's all these things that have to go on. Someone's, more rules, just piling rules.
But
there,
she can't-
There are field hockey is easier to understand than this movie. I mean, the
I think
rules that
Quidditch
are
is
going
easier
on.
to understand than this.
It is. So they get more rules, and one of the rules that gets thrown out, or one of the facts that gets just thrown at you, is that in the nymph's home they keep a key that will help heal them.
Because
She's
the
poisoned at this point,
scrunch
right?
Yeah,
scratches
the
poison
scrunch
her.
is poison her.
So
you
she
need
has
this key.
the antidote or whatever in her.
Underwater layer.
Underwater
in her
room.
underwater lair. Now,
Which is
a-
under the pool.
This is one of my
It's
favorite
under the
things. in
pool,
this
which is
movie.
about as big as a hot tub.
This is how poorly done and confusing this movie is. Less than a minute after they explain this to you in
As
this
he's- as he's-
dialogue-heavy scene,
As he's about to go in the water, right?
he gets in the water. They have to replay the audio
Yeah.
of a scene that just happened.
yeah.
It happened like 40 seconds
Yeah, the
earlier.
audio of the person telling the rule. Yeah.
They
So
put
he
it-
remembers
yeah.
it.
They had to. I bet you $1 million that was added in later on after a test audience was just cross-eyed going, duh.
What is happening here?
So
Yeah.
confused. So they said, all right, fine. We'll do the flashback or whatever. 45 seconds after.
So they replay it. Paul Giamatti goes to the bottom. And this
I tell you what, he should give lessons to Michael Phelps or something because he's got.
Well,
he held his breath for
Holy-
like 20 minutes.
Well, hold on. Well, let's
Jeez.
explain. He goes to the bottom of the pool, and I'm going to take you
I'm
through the
out
whole
of breath by
sequence.
this point.
I know.
By the
goes
time
to
I
the
get to the bottom of the pool.
Goes to the bottom of the pool, lifts up the
grate.
grate at the bottom of the pool, goes through the grate where there's this huge tunnel somehow. Goes through this tunnel. He's underwater this whole time.
To the big ass
Finds
wooden door.
Finds a huge.
there's a wooden door
What is this? What is this big oak door?
there a door?
Like
Door,
gate?
makeshift
Yeah,
handle.
Yeah, he's got like a
What's
latch.
what's
he's
it
got
keeping
undo.
out?
Yeah, I don't. Goes into the door where it's this little weird.
I have
It's like a
expected
Little
to go to the
Mermaid
sewer.
lair.
Where there's
A Little
Little Mermaid
Mermaid
with
apartment?
little coves with like all kinds of trinkets and stuff.
That she's taken from
Actually,
inside the pool.
it actually did look kind of like that little area where the mermaid from the Little
Yeah.
Mermaid was staying
Stash
and collecting
stuff.
her stuff. It was almost like
But
he ripped it off from Little Mermaid.
He somehow identifies the medicine she needs right away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no
Oh, that
label
must
on
be
it.
it.
Yeah,
Swings
there's
over,
stuff-
grabs his
there's-
black
And it's
crap
not that
all
it's
over
not
the
that obvious. It's like a glowy rock, right?
Right, yeah,
He's
that's all it
been,
is.
and he's been underwater for a solid 3 minutes at this point.
I wish
mean,
I timed
right.
it. I should have timed it. I didn't.
and he's just fine. He's looking around. Things are going. It's 3 minutes underwater, and he's still. Oh,
Now
anyway.
the door jams up.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
the door.
It's a big door. That's for some reason is in
Oh
the
God,
pool.
I can't open. Now he's running out of breath.
Now, okay,
Now he's running out of breath. Now they got some
now.
tension here.
How'd the door get in there anyways?
I've been underwater for 4 minutes. Now it's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of air in an upside down glass.
Which the
Why?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah,
It's like a random bottle with a cork on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's not a cork. It's just an upside down glass.
Yeah, like why?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just like picks it up and.
So apparently,
Oh, that's right,
she
yeah.
took this glass down and kept the air
Yeah,
air
for some
pocket
reason.
the whole way down and
Why-
placed it on the
yeah,
shelf.
Which why would anyway?
So there's this much air in the glass.
So he puts a straw in
It's
the
about
glass.
7
He
cubic
takes-
centimeters
he grabs
of
a pen,
oxygen.
takes the pen apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's dying.
Yeah. Has the time.
Like a
to-
MacGyver.
Sucks
Like
it
MacGyver.
out.
He makes this little tube he can breathe
Has the
through.
time to take the pen apart. Gets like it's seriously like 8 ounces of air,
Yeah, right.
which would do
Oh,
nothing
I'm better
for
now.
anyone.
Goes over, the door opens right up now.
Now the door opens.
It doesn't- yeah, no
he
problem.
swims out. Oh, then goes back.
I
for
dropped
the
the rock,
medicine.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is the longest. This sequence is long, and it's
And so dumb.
so dumb and so
Like Cody said, how the
so
wood- how-
Yeah, how do you
How'd
get the
you
door
bend
down
wooden
there?
door down
There's like
there?
the tiny grate. How'd you get the wooden door like cramming in there? Push it down the tunnel.
She has Bob
Yeah.
Vila. She
Put it
kidnapped
on
Bob
the
Vila and
hinges.
dragged him down there to get this job done.
So he's got this medicine, and the narf is somehow being in the shower.
Oh my God, this is the-
Does
I'm
that-
not-
This
I
is
mean,
another thing.
I keep saying-
They don't give her clothes. They keep her naked and wet.
Right, and I keep
Which is
saying
like-
this was
Okay.
the worst scene I've seen. But then I'm reminded of another scene, which is the worst scene I've seen.
They all are.
She apparently she can't tell the rules because it's against the
And
law.
by the way,
yes.
Oh my
by the
God,
way,
oh
by
my
the
God,
way,
yes, hold on, hold on.
by the way,
let me give a summary of this.
I keep forgetting that this woman can even talk because for most
Right,
of the movie
that-
she's not telling anyone.
This is,
and
oh yeah, she.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
here's
I
the
think she's a
point.
mute most of the time.
This is when I checked out that there are so
Me
many
too.
rules in
That's-
the film. And one of the rules is she can't talk about the rules, and that's when I was like I am
Fight Club.
done.
So she's-
I am. That was
done.
it
So
for
she's
me.
in the shower, and for some reason, Giamatti and Shyamalan are like,
They're finally hiding by
got
the
their
corner 'cause
coffee. They're sitting
They
there
don't want
laying
to
by
see.
the door.
They don't want to see her naked. They want to respect her privacy,
Right,
even though
now.
she's been naked for
Now.
most of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're sitting by the door, sipping their coffee, and the sister is translating somehow.
So she comes up with a
ridiculous
game.
way-
She
right.
says, "When I was a little kid, my mom told me to use hand gestures instead of words because that way I felt better about tattling on my friends."
Why not
So
just
why
say,
don't
hey,
you use?
pull your ear for yes and grab your hair for no?
Then why not just say yes and no?
Or
Why
say-
do that?
Yeah.
That made no sense.
So that's when it comes out that they need to get all these other people. There's all these other roles that have to be filled. You know, the interpreter, the
guild,
protector, the
yeah.
guild. They need all this
Yeah,
other.
at this point, my head was starting to spin.
It-
so
now
Wait,
I
has he
don't know.
gone? Has he done
But then it
that?
starts
Has he done the
spinning
innocent
more.
thing yet?
No.
Did we get to that
No,
scene?
no.
We have to get
No,
to that
no.
scene
What
where he's
one?
got
We haven't
he's
done
got to
it.
talk to the old lady, but he's got to.
No, not yet.
I'm
Oh,
not-
no,
not
that's
really
coming
sure
up, I
that-
think.
Okay, good,
It-
good.
but it-
we gotta
and-
get
and
to
if
that.
you're-
No, we must be there.
No, it's.
If-
I think it's after this.
if you're a
I think
rational,
they fail again. I think they fail again before that's his final try.
Yeah, they failed again. But
if you're a rational human being, you should be checked out at this point. You
Yeah,
should
well,
be
right.
you should be shattering this DVD into 100 pieces and putting it in the bottom of a trash bag, which immediately goes out to the curb. I mean, it is. This movie is so off the rails by this point. Not only is it confusing, it's a fascinating combination of boring, confusing, and just pretentious. Oh,
well, right, because at this point now he needs to find all these other people. So now we're treated again to him going around and trying to figure
Again,
out.
a second
goes-
time.
Well,
Wait a minute. I
she's-
thought you were the
she
scribe
tells,
before. Now
she
it's
tells
you.
him that he's the guardian, but she doesn't know who any of the other people
Right,
are.
'cause
Yeah,
she points to him.
So
right.
he has to go out and try to find who the guild is. So who's he go and try to find this out from?
Right. So
the movie
Yes.
critic. Right.
So he goes to the.
He goes to the movie critic. There's only one person who can tell me who these people are. Okay, maybe it's the Asian woman who's been telling him the story the whole time. No, he goes to
The
what's his
D-bag
name?
movie critic.
Bob Balaban. He goes to Bob Balaban, knocks on his door. He's this film critic who's staying in the apartment,
Who's
and
a
he's
total
like,
D-bag.
all right, fine, I'll tell you. And he basically breaks down a
and he
stereotypical
gives him
story.
some. He gives him some advice.
He does.
But
He
let
does.
me say this: the one character in this movie
he answers
who
a dumb
behaves
question,
like
I
a
guess.
normal person is probably the film critic who's totally skeptical of this whole thing and is like, "Stop bothering me, you weirdo."
You know who Bob
And then
Balaban
he's
is?
the
Bob
bad guy.
Balaban is the viewer. He is the viewer of the film inside the movie so that we can feel like we're suffering along with the character in this movie.
So-
I think.
Except
So-
Shyamalan hates that character.
well,
so
that's his mistake.
So
he thinks
he
that
hates
I
the
think
audience
Shyamalan
too,
cases
so-
more viewers. Yeah.
So
that's what he's saying there.
So Paul Giamatti, like, basically interrogates this poor film critic who's like, seriously, just leave me alone. Gives him some basic advice.
He gave him advice. It's all it was.
Basic advice based on traditional storytelling.
Yeah.
Doesn't really say
He's just kind of
anything,
saying things to get him go away.
Yeah, just trying to get Paul Giamatti to leave him alone.
It's obviously in the middle of the night. He's got his pajamas on. He's irritated. He's only got his head sticking out the door.
And so Paul Giamatti then just decides...
He puts it all together.
Okay, the group of stoners, they must be this guild I need help me.
This guy who's obsessed with crossword puzzles must be the scribe.
Yeah, he's the interpreter.
The healer must have... Because the healer has butterflies. It must be this old lady
must
he met.
be the pet lady.
The cat lady. Yep, the cat lady.
Well, because she had the butterfly earlier.
Yeah,
it was so like
there was something about
here's
butterfly.
the hammer.
It's that shovel just spoon feeding you. Get it down.
But let's say something else too. Now, in all of this, remember the guy who works out one side of his body. We keep seeing him, but he plays no part in this.
You don't think of him for anything, right?
And if you're anyone who's ever seen any movie before in your life, you're probably like, yep, that dude's gonna factor into this somewhere because. They keep showing me the guy who works out one side of his body. I have a feeling, But so anyway, he puts all these people in these roles,
I'm so confused.
and we actually even get a couple more scenes where M. Night Shyamalan has cast himself in the role of this visionary character. He's
going to change the universe.
The boringest scenes in this movie are M. Night Shyamalan and Bryce Dallas Howard. Who are
when she tells him, this is where she tells him that his work is important and that it's so important that he will be killed for it.
Right. Yeah,
that's how important he is.
That's how
he's going to be killed for
his
stupid book.
Oh God, I mean,
and he accepts this because he knows his work must change the world. So he's got to write the book.
I started surfing the internet at that point. I couldn't take it anymore. I mean, those scenes are
again. That was a pause moment for me.
Unbearable. In fact, here's my next note. This is a note. I hate this movie so much. Like, that is a note. That is a note I made while watching this
I brought
movie.
my notes. I have I typed during this movie, just to let you all know. I watched the film on a little mini portable DVD player, sitting at my computer, typing out notes as I went. I had to pause about every 15 minutes just to decompress and to catch up on my note typing because I was typing so many notes about how horrible it was, critiquing the film on even the littlest level, that I just had to keep pausing it to catch up. It was so bizarre how bad this movie is.
Is it at this point that he tries to bring her back to the pool again? Or he
finds out he's not the Guardian.
No, well, this is
when he finds out he's not the Guardian.
Yeah, right. He decides...
The second attempt to bring Bryce Dallas Howard to the pool.
And another rule that is jammed down your throat, I can't remember who tells it to him, but the Guardian is the only one who can... defeat or affect the Scrunts.
She does.
Yes,
she tells him. He carries her outside. They confront a wolf, and she says, "Don't worry, you have to."
She's not outside. She's inside talking to him on a
walkie-talkie. Right. That's right. So he had this fantasy.
So he goes. He goes outside, and the whole thing is the Guardian can just stare into the eyes of the Scrunt,
the wolf,
and it'll back away and hide her. He has to say some magical words though first to make it show itself.
Yeah.
So then he's staring it in the eyes, and it's sort of standing there. And then it rushes at him.
So, and you got all this whole scene of like, run! Oh my god! Oh, it's over the top stuff. Like,
then what does he do?
Oh my god! And all of a sudden,
he cuts to him. He's laying on the ground next to the pool, and Bob Balaban
in a very comical way. He's on.
He's like laying there,
by
like,
a chair.
How's it going?
Yeah.
They jam like an attempt at a super high tension scene, jammed right up into like a comic relief scene.
Yeah.
But like, it not only does neither of them work. It's so confusing. Right. I'm watching. I'm like, what happened?
What
just happened?
And it's at this point that then she says, "Oh, you can't be the Guardian because it didn't work. You couldn't."
Right.
This is the point where I checked out, where I was like, "Okay, now you have to find who the Guardian actually." I'm done with this. I don't want to.
What's the point?
Right.
This is more searching for more people.
Right.
I don't want to see
right.
that.
Once the guild, once they figured out those weren't the right people, I was like.
Once the
I don't want to go through this again.
Yeah, and they do. They waste the screen time. Now he's got to go around once again, but this time.
Which again,
but wait, are we at our favorite scene yet?
At this point,
we have to be. We
got to talk about it.
I think it's right after this. But at this point, though, when he finds out he's not the Guardian, immediately I know who the Guardian is. Because again, it's obvious.
I knew at the beginning.
No one else knows.
Shyamalan
he doesn't figure it out until the end when he sees the Guardian doing the thing.
And again, anyone who's ever seen the movie before is going to be like,
know who the Guardian is.
That
the
guy,
one who's meant to protect her.
Yeah, that guy is.
And as comical as it is, being who it is.
So at this point, he's got to go back to the Asian woman and find out.
Again.
He's got because
now
the
Asian girl.
Because now the rules are confused.
Wait. He goes to the Asian girl, and the Asian girl says, "My mother won't." In her horribly stereotypical stereotypical Asian accent. She says, my mother doesn't want to tell you, maybe if you were more like a child. She likes to tell the story to a child. She doesn't think you're innocent enough. So he puts on like this white suit,
retarded scene
and he's like
ever in
drinking
a
milk,
movie.
and eating cookies in her apartment.
He gets a milk mustache.
He gets milk on his mustache.
Don't wipe it
Don't
off.
wipe it off. So then he curls up on the couch.
Oh, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've
So he
ever
can tell the story like he's a kid.
It's so this scene. This imagery is ridiculous. I don't know if it's supposed to be
it's
funny.
painful.
And
or
this
like,
gentleman,
oh.
this gentleman is when I was out of the movie. This is when I checked out.
That was
Oh wait!
dumb.
Just to clarify, when Paul Giamatti curled up like a 3-year-old kid on a couch to try and get information about a confusing Japanese fairy tale,
That's when I checked out. I have a very strong tolerance
it
for
was
bad
so
movies.
bad.
That was the moment I checked
I mean, he's
out.
eating the cookies. He's like all like acting like a little like these
acting
are
like
so
a little
good.
kid.
And,
What do
please
you-
tell me the story a little more. And head tilting, and then the milk mustache is it for me.
Yeah, he gets milk on his mustache, and then
I was
the,
like,
then the Asian girl's like in the
gotta be
back of the room,
kidding
like motioning him not to wipe it off because it would destroy the image of him being a child, which he's obviously
wrote
not.
that?
So that this old
You
lady
know
can
who
tell him
wrote
the
that.
Oh
story.
my god!
So lazy.
Did
I mean,
his kids write that scene?
It's
Because
just so.
I don't know.
It's like the most laziest, convenient storytelling.
Oh, God.
Anyway, they come up with a.
Again, by the way, this is a story he wrote for his kids, so
Yes,
his
right.
kids must be super geniuses if they understand this freaking story. Because
Yeah,
That's it. He let his 5-year-old kid write the script. That's the
This
explanation
movie
right there.
should come with a flow chart. It really should. Like the DVD should include a flow chart.
You could teach college courses on this film. You could
I've-
get a PhD in understanding Lady in the Water.
I've seen it
Well, okay,
twice.
so then-
and I'm
yeah.
still confused. All right,
so we
anyway,
get to the point where they're all in the
They decide to
Bathroom
hold.
with her?
They decide. That,
yeah, he gets
together.
he
they
gets
all get
everyone
together,
They all-
and they decide that they have a plan. That they've
Oh, that's
got
right,
to
yeah.
they've got to get this girl back. The problem is they need a lot of people to scare the scrunts away. Yet at the same time, they can't watch her go away.
right. They can't watch it.
So
but
they decide to
the guy
hold a
has-
party.
he's-
No,
yeah.
but how they find out or figure it out how they're supposed to hold a
The
party.
crossword puzzle.
The interpreter finds it in a crossword puzzle.
Right.
He's 32 across. Soiree, that means party. We should have a party. I was like,
yeah.
And the
yeah,
guild-
wait, yeah. I mean, so yeah. To just come up with this plan, one of the roles is interpreter. So Jeffrey Wright from a crossword puzzle said,
Yes.
Here's our plan.
and we have to have a band because
We have to have a band.
42 down is
Because-
music.
Right.
Yep.
So the theory is nobody can actually be out there when the eagle comes. So
But they have to
a
be out
big
there to scare the
party
grunt away.
and then be like, "Hey guys, the band's playing," so everybody will go inside.
So then the big giant
then-
eagle can come.
Which-
Yeah, because
by
if
the way-
everybody's out there, the skrunt can't come because everybody's out
Which,
there.
by the way, let me ask the obvious question:
But-
why? Since everyone's on board with this, why not just say to people, "Hey, everybody, go inside. The giant eagle is coming." I mean, everyone's on board.
Okay.
Why is no
Well,
need?
and by the way,
why
too-
the deception?
By the way, too, earlier when Paul Giamatti is being chased by the scrunt, and then it disappears because the critic is outside. One person is
Right.
out there. Why don't they just invite the critic, like, hey, let's hang out by the pool tonight,
Right.
and then the scrunt will come out. So
Right,
they have
so
a
the
huge
whole
party.
No,
well,
I
because
don't-
the
perfect.
crossword party says soiree.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So anyway, so then they have this. They have this second attempt. Or I don't even know if it's a second. Who knows?
I think
how
it's at least the third attempt at this
third
point.
attempt. I don't know.
fourth.
Who cares? They try to send her back, and everybody fails miserably in the most
Yeah.
basic of tasks. Hey, one guy is told, "Hey, stand right here."
by
He
the
fails at that.
Fails.
He walks away.
You have to alert. You have to
Stand
alert the band to start
Yeah.
playing. The battery's dead in the walkie-talkie.
He stands there for like 10 minutes,
You
like
could wave your hands
or
and say, "Hey,
walk inside.
play the music."
He's 10 feet away. Just walk inside, like, hey guys, you can start playing now.
It's a
He's
total.
like, he keeps walking. I don't think it's working for like 10 minutes.
So this totally basic plan is a total failure, and then all of a sudden,
And their decision is we must have miscast ourselves in this ridiculous game. The guild must not have been the guild. The interpreter must not have been the interpreter.
Wait. You're getting ahead though, because the guys can't stand by the grass. The scrunt comes out and grabs Story and drags her in the woods. And Paul Giamatti, of course,
rescues
notices.
her, of course.
So he runs in the woods and grabs her, and of course she's been poisoned by the scrunt again. So then
now
they
she's
all
dying.
Then
Then they're all in
they
the
all get in the
bathroom
bathroom, and he's got the healer, and the healer's trying to heal her.
And it doesn't work.
But it doesn't work, so that's when he's like, "Oh my god, the movie critic, he's a douchebag. He
lied
gave me the
to
wrong
me.
information."
He didn't know.
Wait, yeah. Then they blame the movie critic.
He gave you advice.
Yeah, he gave you
That's all he
advice
did.
in like one 10-second
Somebody-
conversation in the middle of the night when he's trying to be like, just leave me alone, wacko.
Did you write it down? Because he said something like,
here's okay. And
a friend lied to me or something like that. What did he
well,
say?
this is when M. Night Shyamalan's anger against film
Oh, the
critics
other
comes
line,
out.
yeah.
This just clearly he's got anger issues with film critics.
Because his movies suck. That's not his fault.
Yeah, and this is what they say.
And this is
a real line
Wait.
from the movie. This
yeah,
is
but
right
before that, we should say that at this point they're doing this. The movie critic is being stalked by the at
Well,
the same
this
time.
is just
right?
before that.
This is just before that.
Oh, just
This is
before that. I
before
thought
that.
they were doing it at the
They're
same time.
basically so anyway to
Okay, go
recap,
ahead.
they're basically saying they put the wrong people in these specific roles of these specific rules of this mind erasing movie.
And we
that
can
you're
give them a play because it's really confusing even to the characters in the movie, so it makes sense that they might get it wrong.
They
But
might get it
instead,
wrong.
they decide to lay the blame on this
They
Bob
blame,
Balaban.
and they blame the movie critic. This is the line that the Jeffrey Wright character has to give about the movie critic.
Oh God, I love this line.
Quote, what kind of person would be so arrogant as to presume to know the intention of another human being?
I got the answer to that one.
Ease up.
M. Night Shyamalan would be.
I would turn that back on yourself, M. Night. Easy.
So at this point,
Like, why
so
don't
directly
we
after the
get-
scene when they realize that the movie critic has led them astray, they cut to the movie critic inside, like in a hallway in the building. At this point, the scrunt has gotten into the building.
Yeah, why is the wolf?
But at this point,
Yeah, I know,
I
it
thought
never went-
why's it
I
after
thought
him?
something cool was going to happen here.
Yeah, why is it after him?
Yeah, why is it after him if it
Yeah,
only
No,
one
because he
story?
just stumbles along. He just stumbles across him
Yeah, but
because he's a movie critic.
well, right.
The scrunt can tell.
Yeah.
But I thought something cool was going to happen here because the movie critic sees the big wolf thing, and his line is, "This is like a scene from a horror movie." And then, but then he goes on, and I'm thinking, "Oh wait,
I kind of
he kinda sounds
enjoyed
like,
that though. I thought it was kind of
It
fun.
was
But
a
no,
little
no,
funny.
I thought because it sounded like he was like maybe he was like this character who was like overseeing it all. He was like the narrator or something of the story, and like he was like, at this point, I turn and I run and I get out the door just before you get me and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I thought he was like saying like, oh, I know what's gonna happen because I'm some special character too. He turns around to run. The wolf just like attacks him and just kills him.
Why is the wolf eating? I mean, like, does anyone know why the wolf eats the movie? I mean, what?
No, that's the thing. Why?
There's no.
why,
Again, like,
It
M. Night
only
Shyamalan,
wants
you know
story.
what?
He's
If
not.
you've
He's
got-
not supposed to be able to see him.
Yeah, he's not even supposed to
Because
see.
he's not.
That's
one of
true.
the, he's not
Yeah.
one of the characters.
Yeah, all
He's
of a
not one
sudden-
yeah.
Why are we watching M. Night Shyamalan?
Again, M. Night violated his own rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like working out his own anger issues towards critics, like in the work
Right.
that out in your own time.
If he was,
buddy.
if he was,
I don't,
if he
you
was
know,
a
I
member of
don't
the
need
guild,
that.
Yeah,
or
write
the
an
healer,
essay or an article.
Yeah.
Don't
If he was
Yeah.
the Guardian,
write
it
a
would make
blog.
sense.
Don't
But
put
you're
it in
not.
the movie.
He shouldn't be able
Yeah,
to see the
go
wolf thing.
talk to a therapist. Don't make me watch your weird issues. You know. I mean,
You know what? Just make movies and don't care what critics say.
Yeah. So the movie critic
he's
is
dead.
dead. Whatever.
And no one cares for the
And he
rest
was
of the
probably
movie.
the best character in the whole movie.
yeah, he's the only character.
So at this
who
point,
acted
there's
like
just
a
nothing
human.
left.
But now we're to the whole the absolute maddening part.
This
here.
is
I
don't even know what
Now,
happened.
who do they
The
turn
next
to
half
figure
hour,
out
I
what they
don't
need
know.
to do next? Who's the new interpreter?
Well, they have to.
Yeah,
They have to
God.
recast all of the key roles.
And this time he figures out right away too.
And,
by the
right.
way.
Well, crossword puzzle guy who was the interpreter. It's like
Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, it's not me.
It's my son.
It's my son. He likes reading cereal boxes.
So they cut to
And
this,
I
like,
probably had another note, but at that point I threw my notepad across the room and
Yeah.
followed it up with a pen.
Now,
because then it goes to the scene of everyone standing in this guy's kitchen as the kid looks at like a cupboard full of
Cereal
cereal
boxes.
boxes, and he's just looking at him going, "We need 5 sisters or something."
And there's this music, this intense music playing, like they're about to do it. It's like the Great Escape music that's kind of playing here, and they're about to figure it
It could
out.
be like something organic, like the clouds or something.
Oh, yeah, something
nature
organic that would make
telling-
sense.
No, it's
Oh
just-
my God, it's in the
cereal
clouds,
boxes.
it's in the trees.
Captain Crunch tells me that we need that the guild is these
Lucky
guys
Charms.
over here.
The Guardian will be great.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. I've got to get my English to snap, crackle, and pop dictionary going. And it's a long scene. It's like
is.
3 minutes of a kid reading cereal boxes. Totally straight.
And then he says, "Oh, I need someone who he says I need someone I can trust, someone whose advice I admire." So where does he go? There's some Jesus freak living alone in his apartment that he talked to
that's what I
once
was
in
going
the
to
movie.
say. He's like they 7 sisters and 2 others. Somebody who's
Somebody you trust?
And someone who's wise or
Trust.
something like that.
So this guy who's kind of like, he's very
The
religious
guy-
and he
there
kind of
one
sits
scene-
alone.
He had one scene. Yeah, he sits alone. He's talking.
He like watches like World War II documentaries.
And then the other guy was in the bathroom pooping the whole movie.
Yes, you never
And they-
see his face. It's
And it's like, oh, I know.
did you pick these people at random?
What?
Did you? You
'Cause
might
he's
as well.
pooping,
What about the
he's
pool
wise,
guy?
like-
What about
I
the
mean,
pool guy?
And again, in the casting of roles, some guy was cast in this movie. His character, not only is his character one-dimensional, his character's only known for one thing. He spends the movie in a bathroom.
And his wife says, "Oh, don't tell anybody about.
What
He's
a-
got bad gas. Don't tell anybody."
What a casting
Because
session!
he had secrets.
That was his secrets. Yeah.
Can you imagine being the casting director in this and putting us out to? Yeah, we've got a guy who spends the whole movie in the bathroom. Yeah, put
that's
that,
my part.
Yeah,
I
put
want
that
to
out
go.
to your clients. Anyone who's interested, come in and read for this.
I was the crabby guy on the crapper in M. Night Shyamalan's Lady in the Water. Oh, that's a
So then
that's a
he takes
credit
he
if
takes
I
all
ever saw
his
one.
new cast of characters down back into the bathroom wherever a story is, laying on the ground still dying.
And whatever.
And nobody stays with story. They all move like a herd of people from apartment to apartment to apartment, grabbing these random people.
Well,
At least it seemed like it.
It turns out.
Well,
Paul
once again though, the
Giamatti is-
healer fails. And then the kid comes in again. He's like, "I read the cereal boxes wrong."
But he was
the
standing.
healer.
The kid
the
was
healer
standing
is-
there. He was standing there with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
But
So
he's like,
how do you know he read it wrong all of a sudden?
Yeah.
But he's like the healer isn't it's not a she, it's a he. And at that point, Paul Giamatti's like, "Oh, I'm the healer."
Because now here, let's get this.
And then all of a sudden, he can't do it.
Here's
He's
some
like,
confusing-
I can't do whatever it is.
Here's
I
some
have to do."
confusing background on Cleveland, the Paul Giamatti character, that kind of ties into other M. Night Shyamalan stories.
Right.
His family, he used to be a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon. His family, his wife and his kids, were murdered. He couldn't handle it, so he quit being a doctor and became a maintenance man at an apartment building, living in a pool house.
Right.
Which is why he's the healer.
He's the
What? Really?
Because he has to draw on this pain
Really?
that he's feeling.
He has
Right.
to
Which
deal-
he has
in
he's
a,
been
in a
holding all
scene
in.
in a scene directly from Signs.
Yes,
as
yes.
he's holding her, he's got to talk to his daughter and his wife and like how much he misses him and stuff, and then that power heals story.
Somehow that heals her.
And then she's okay.
Suddenly she's fine. They're gonna take another crack at now that they've got the roles properly cast. They're gonna take yet another
but
attempt at setting.
is like
But
attempt
you know
number
what?
5.
They wrap it up pretty quick.
Well,
It all of a sudden works.
Thank God they didn't drag this out, because I was like, I thought they were going to drag this whole part out.
And that
they went
epic-
outside and pretty much.
And the
Let's
epic
wrap this
scene,
up, guys.
the epic scene where the half strong, half weak man like stares down the scrunt was laughable, not epic, not because of the way it was shot or the way it was written, but because of the sheer ridiculousness of seeing a man who's half muscular.
And
why not make him full muscular?
The arm doesn't come into play at all.
The fact that he has one strong arm has nothing to do with
All
anything.
he does is
And
stare at this thing.
No one tells him. He only needs to know one thing. Make sure you look at the wolf. And
He just
no one tells him this. So suddenly a giant eagle comes flying in, and he's like, "Whoa, giant eagle!" And that messes everything up. Because
And the only
who
reason
wouldn't look at a giant eagle flying
I know.
in?
and the only reason that he's even out there is like he's got like a plate of food and he just happens to be out there and see this wolf.
Yeah, he's in the pouring rain
Yeah,
and with a
and
plate
he
of food.
sees a wolf, and the
This
wolf
is so
like
laughable.
stops.
The way he looks, he's got this gigantic foam
What I
rubber
love
fake
about it,
muscle arm.
too, was the Paul Giamatti character, Cleveland, is totally like, oh my God, you're the Guardian,
Yeah.
Well, because the wolf's about to attack him. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, what am I going to do? Wait
It's
a minute,
like,
it's
what?
backing away." Then he turns around and dun dun dun.
Right, but he didn't realize that
You didn't think
2
about
days
that?
ago.
Yeah.
when-
And then,
Well, the audience has already figured it out. But
and then what's wrapped. Then all of a sudden, and again, there are so many rules piled on.
Well,
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, for me at least, I'll say this for me.
They had it during the story, the Tetiontics or whatever the hell they're called.
These
These monkey
the tree
creatures.
oh yes, they're
There's
these
3
wild,
of them.
they're these wild monkeys that
They're 3,
eat the
but the
scrunt
one-
for being a rogue.
And
When did they talk about this?
Like,
in the
it
movie?
Earlier in
it
the
was
movie,
during,
there was
like,
an offhand comment
Probably
about.
when you were throwing things at the wall.
No. Here we go.
And
Here we go.
succeeding in it.
There are evil wolves in the grass that want to kill Story, but there are also evil monkeys in the trees that police the evil wolves that would kill Story.
Right, they police them. But why didn't these freaking things come out?
In the
have
first
they
place.
before? Where have
And
they
why are
been?
there monkeys?
They couldn't come out. They had to get to the tree line to come
have
out.
they
I don't
been
know.
all movie.
Wait, some reason couldn't come out. I don't know
Whatever.
why.
Three creatures that look like they were like those tree creatures from the Lord of the Rings come out. They drag the evil wolf away. Bryce Dallas Howard gets picked up by a giant eagle.
And boom, that's it.
Yeah, she goes to the
Yeah, it
blue
does-
world.
literally,
You changed
it
my
dissolved
life.
to the-
You changed my life, Story. Thank you. And then the eagle comes and
Thanks.
picks her up.
It's almost like a 1930s movie.
And then
It's
the
like
movie
eagle picked
ends.
her up, and then it's
It ends
the
and
end.
it fades out.
I was waiting for the big the end to come out because
Yeah.
it's just like a 1930s.
And then there's a
ending.
cover. There's a cover of a Bob Dylan song for the ending credits.
Yeah. And then
For no reason at all?
Yeah, then that's it. Like, oh, hey, great times.
Yeah.
You know, okay, everyone's fine. No one's like, all right.
And by the way, the movie critic's still laying in the hall somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere he's
and-
tore
And
apart.
he's
No one
dead
cares.
somewhere.
Nobody cares. Nobody calls the cops.
Yeah, there's
The
probably
one
still
death in the whole movie.
There's still a band playing, so
Oh,
don't need
I
to
wonder,
worry
I wonder
about
if that was. I wonder if that was in the original story that he told his kids. And then
yeah.
the movie critic
Yeah,
was
did-
torn to pieces.
Yeah, did he
because he
mention
doesn't
his
like
kids?
Daddy.
Yeah, Daddy has a lot of issues with movie critics. Couple interesting behind-the-scenes stuff on Waiting Water. You guys
Yeah.
realize this movie cost $75 million to make?
What?
Well, with all those CG scrunts.
What?
And,
There were like 2 CG shots of a scrunt, 1 CG shot of an eagle, which was low res because it was seen through wavy water, so it didn't need to look photoreal. And
and the monkeys.
What,
Yeah,
what
it
was
is-
he using? Like the most expensive? Did he use like 37 like HD IMAX cameras or something?
I don't know. I mean, there's basically one exterior set, a couple of interior
Which looks like an
sets.
abandoned
Yeah.
hotel.
Which looks like they probably got it for next to nothing. A couple interior sets of apartments. Where did the
They
money
probably
probably
just
redress.
probably the actual quality actors that he actually had for some reason.
Yeah, but I mean, still, Bryce
Well,
Dallas
I mean-
Howard, Paul Giamatti, that
Well,
still would
I
be
mean,
75 mil.
You figure Giamatti was
on
probably a
top of all
couple
the other
million.
stuff.
I was thinking Jeffrey Wright would,
Maybe a little bit, but his part was smaller.
I'm
I
sure
was-
M. Night Shyamalan gave himself a lot of money.
Ah,
for
well, I
being
think
an
the
actor.
tunnel and the
It was
the-
for the rap
the
party
layer-
because everybody was so
Yeah.
glad that the
That
movie
big-
was
that
over.
big
That's
door
That's
in
it.
the
quite a
hall.
bit
That's
for
it.
that.
The money was for the rap party because everybody thought the movie was so terrible that they had to really go out with a bang. They had to have like a New Year's Eve.
Well, there's two
type
things.
party.
There's two things too in this movie that I wanted to mention quick that really bugged me. One was the sprinklers that kept like it was like a scare every time. It was like sprinklers, like bam.
Which is just like in The Village, where the
Right.
only scare is when the girl trips on a log.
But the whole idea they don't say in the movie, but in a special feature I think they're saying it was if your sprinklers go off a lot, it means there's a scrunt in your grass.
He says it in the children's story.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
is that
part
a
of the special
thing?
feature. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the children's
Yeah.
story.
But
And
they
the
don't
other-
elaborate. It's just there, like as a little nuance. So the only 3 people who would get it, who are watching this movie, out of the
There's
millions
kids.
of billions of people who are sitting in movie theaters watching this movie, won't get it. But his 3 kids will be like, "Oh yeah, the sprinklers, I get it."
But
The more
and
we
then
talk-
the other thing is a Shyamalan thing I've noticed, and in this movie it just didn't work. A lot of his other movies it does, but there's like shots of like when someone's talking, they're like you see like the back of their head, and like Paul Giamatti will be like listening intently, or like there's a shot of like the back of Bryce
Dallas Howard's
knee.
legs.
Yeah,
Right,
they
right,
right.
love
Like,
that shot.
You better
it
get
didn't
some
work for
clothes
this
on
movie.
there.
It
Put
just
that
didn't-
shirt I gave you back on to barely cover your
those
supple
shots
body.
were too intense. Like when the Asian daughter was person
the
who
butt shot?
The whole that and the whole
yeah.
It wasn't bad though.
her
No.
whole first scene though you don't see her face. It's just the back of her
Right,
head.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
though. No,
You
it
don't
was
see
her
her-
butt, wasn't it?
Isn't she the
No, you
voice
see her
of
head-
the
the back of her
Amy
head.
of the
Oh,
Amy
does it?
character on Futurama? That actress.
Oh, maybe. I don't
But
know.
and then,
recognize
and then
the
you don't
voice.
then you don't see her face again until the second scene that she's in. You finally see her face. It was like I don't know why they're trying to like
Right, yeah, first you don't
like
see
I
it.
thought
It's
there
like
was
they're
a
trying to-
reason they were trying to hide her
Yeah,
face.
there's no. He's just trying to be artistic, I think.
Well,
It just didn't work for this movie.
No.
well, I mean, the $75 million budget.
That
I mean,
makes no sense. It does not
blew
look
me
like
away.
a $75
It
million
looks-
movie.
It looks like about a $35 million
Yeah,
movie.
right.
I mean, if that. I mean,
It looks like a
I don't-
$25 million
Yeah,
movie.
I don't know where $75 million went.
Where did that money go? I don't know. Seriously, you watch the movie. We're not lying. You watch the movie. There are practical sets. There's probably 2 apartments they redressed to look like 12 apartments.
Yeah.
Most of the actors are smaller parts. The only major actor in the film is Paul Giamatti. Bob Balaban's a recognizable face, but he's certainly not a headliner. Neither is Jeffrey Wright. Again, though, I mean,
Well,
a recognizable
you gotta figure,
face.
M. Night probably got paid.
Bryce Dallas Howard, this was earlier in her career.
Yeah.
So I really don't know where that money
M.
went.
Night got paid to direct, write, and star in it. So
Yeah.
Of course.
It's
He had to,
There's
he had to
some
buy
big
the
paydays
rights from
there.
himself
Right.
for his
Here's
story.
another one.
and here's something that shocked me even more.
Adapted screenplay from an M. Night Shyamalan story written
Probably
by
got
M.
a
Night
cut
Shyamalan.
because his feelings were hurt because Disney didn't want the movie.
Yeah, well, behind
yeah.
the quick
I'd
behind the
take
scenes
10
story,
million, 'cause-
Disney, which had made all of his other movies, read this script and said, "We pass."
Yeah.
You know, no thanks. I mean,
'Cause
they
they-
read it and they were like, "I don't blame them. This script
they-
must have looked
it was
like a
a
hot
mess.
mess."
But that was so because his ego was so big that totally just ruined his relationship with Disney. It wasn't like okay, I'll take this one, but in the future, he just totally parted ways with Disney.
Yeah, he didn't
'cause
have,
he's
like, he didn't-
they
he
didn't
didn't-
like my script.
You gotta play nice in this business. Sometimes they hate your script, and you gotta be like, "Oh, okay, you might get burned, but you know what? You'll find a way to make it."
Disney's pretty smart at this.
Here's
This is-
well, here's something even that shocked me
So who made the
even
movie?
more.
It was Warner Brothers.
Warner
Warner
Brothers?
Brothers
Yeah.
made it. Yeah, this shocked me even more
And
than,
even they
than
were, I
the
think,
budget.
hesitant about it.
This movie got a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't understand that at all.
I don't understand. That basically means
That shocks me more than the price tag.
it does essentially 1 in 4 critics enjoyed this movie. Can you? I am.
No, I can't.
Floored by that.
liking
I
that
can't
at
imagine anyone.
I think
I'm
they're
pretty
just
open-minded.
they're
I can't
afraid
imagine-
they're afraid to dislike it because they didn't want to be
Yeah,
harassed in his next movie.
Or then if you go to IMDb, based on like 10,000 reviews, this movie has a 5.7. You go to IMDb, there are good reviews all over.
It's M. Night Shyamalan's family.
Oh my God!
Well, I know he has a fan base, but
He does have a fan base. There are people out there who just swear by his work, and I
like John Carpenter, but I'll tell you when his movies suck.
Yeah,
I'm not going to write a positive review if it sucks.
And this is a serious. I'm going to put my real email address out there. If you're hearing this and you love this movie, please email me at windupfilms@gmail.com. I would love to hear from someone who really likes this. I would just be fascinated to hear what they liked about it. I've not met
one person.
I don't. This movie. I've watched a lot of bad movies. I would watch, like, Abduction is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but.
At least it makes sense.
I would watch Abduction 50 times before I would watch this again.
I can't get through this one again.
I hate this movie.
Like I said, the only way I did it was by pause. I paused it at least 4 times, and by pause I mean like pause for like 10 minutes, because I had to just breathe and write up some notes.
Let's go through it really quick. Is this movie so bad it's good? We'll go around quick. Cody, your thoughts?
Not at all. I don't think it's so bad it's good. I think it's a good movie that's just really bad. Like, it could have been a good movie. You know, Shyamalan's a decent director. It's shot well. It's got good actors, but he just totally effed it up. It's just not good at all.
Andy?
No, it's not good, because I watched it the first time I said I'm never going to watch it again, because there's nothing in it that'd be like, oh, that's a funny couple of one-liners or situation that was like really scary or intense or fun. Nothing in it for me to watch again. So,
Jack, what about you?
Same thing. I think it's not so bad it's good because it was so bad that it's bad. And like Cody said, I have always thought that Shyamalan, if he just was not in love with himself and was willing to make more compromises, could make a decent movie. The movie's shot well. He's good at building atmosphere. The only problem is he doesn't deliver because he's so obsessed with himself. He's got to carry through all these points that maybe if you were a different director, he'd be willing to bend on or break on, take some suggestions from outside sources. This film could have been good. It would require a hell of a lot of work, but it probably could have been good. He's got a good cast, but all in all, it sucks. It's a fail. It's not so bad. It's good.
And yeah, for me, I hate this movie so much. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about this movie. It makes me angry. I'm angry right now. I'm angry thinking about this movie. I hate it. That is Lady in the Water. Probably not the last we're going to see of M. Night Shyamalan.
One final note, too, is that if you look at the cover, it is not a Lord of the Rings. That is not Frodo on the cover.
Yeah, that is kind of confusing, too. It does look kind of like...
I thought it was Frodo.
He thinks that's...
I thought it was
it
Lord of the Rings, but no, it's not.
Well, at first glance, it looks like it could be more interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it wants to be a fantasy.
And
stay away from this DVD.
You know what they did, too? I remember when they started previewing this, they started showing the scrunts. And it looked like a horror movie. It looked like a scary movie.
That's what they did with The Village. They made The Village look like a thriller, and
then
it wasn't.
All of a sudden, they started doing other ones that look more fantasy. So it was really confusing right from the
because the distributor didn't know how to sell it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll wrap this one up. I'll just say, if you want our advice, do not see this movie. This is not even an enjoyable bad movie. Stay away. If you see this on a shelf, go to the other side of the aisle. I mean, this is...
If you're an angry person, you might want to.
If you want to be angry, you're an angry person.
Movie. Go ahead. Yeah.
If you're like have too much happiness in your life and you don't have enough anger.
If you're like an actor working in a local theater group and you need to play like an angry character to get yourself worked into the role, watch this movie about 2 hours before your performance.
Or if you just want a reason to hate M. Night Shyamalan, pick this one up.
Yeah. And again, probably not the last we'll see of him. So that is Lady in the Water. We're gonna wrap this up. We will have more episodes coming up, including a very special theatrical episode of Stop the Movie I Want to Get Out. Brian Mueller and I experienced the Katherine Heigl action comedy, which spoiler alert, there was neither. There was no action. There was no comedy. There was no anything. Which we will have
from
that
the previews
upcoming.
Looks like there's like all kinds of comedy going on.
There's a lot going on, but it is not action and it is not comedy. That will be upcoming. If comments, you can send an email, windupfilms@gmail.com, and we will be back soon with another episode of Stop the Movie I Want to Get Out. Thanks.
Bye.